Hello there. My name's Mark, aka the Canardian, and this is episode 56 of the Holocron Chronicles. I'm joined, as always, by the yin to my yang, very appropriate for the shirt he's wearing right now, Charlie Mother Effin Carden. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm trying to scooch up. I'm about to move into my new studio where I'm going to
Right.
have the camera up a little higher, but it always I always try to dress in something that kind of stands out, and this one is just there. You go, yin and yang. You got. Well, I almost fell over. Old shirt that I stumbled upon. That it was my wife's, but she's been shrinking, so she's not Ant-Man, but she's been losing weight, so she gave me the shirt back. So I like it. It's a custom piece a friend of mine made some time back.
That's
But
great.
I'm good. I am good. Monday night. We're on Mando Eve. We're in the thick of the Bad Batch, the best. I would say the best season they've had yet, but this is only the second season.
Yeah.
So, it's very common that a second season will be better than a first season because they're kind of building a momentum. But we're going to be talking all about that. And we got a triple threat this week. We got a two-parter, and then the first part of it was backed by the one that Mark has been waiting for ever since that first trailer because it has Fuzzy Buddy in it. So much so that you jumped out. And I haven't listened to it yet, but you did a little Patreon special talk about Gunji, didn't you?
I did, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. But first, I want to introduce our returning guest appearance by Louis, aka Dins Jarin 327 on Twitter. Louis, welcome back to the show.
Glad to be back. I've been looking for the opportunity to come back. Had a great time last time, so appreciate you guys having me on again.
I appreciate you saving us. We had a guest drop out at the last minute. Parenthood happens. I understand that 100%. I've had to reschedule shows like 10 minutes before they've aired or before we started recording. So I 100% get when that kind of stuff drops in. But, luckily we had a couple of hours and I just put the call out and you answered. You came in swooping like a Jedi Knight and saved our butts. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
We blew that Ewok horn. Doo-doo. Came right out of the thickets of the woods of Endor.
Exactly. So like Charlie said, we do have a Patreon now, Secret Friends Unite Patreon, not just for this show. It's for all the shows. We're all doing bonus content. Charlie's got like bonus shows coming out the wazoo. What did I make? Like 6 logos for you or something? You're on a mission.
I do. I have 3 different shows. My regular program it's called The Facts Geek Life. We're breaking down a classic season of a classic show, just a handful of episodes with a rotating series of guests. I started doing a bad movie commentary like once a month with my wife. We had our first episode dropped recently. And we have an interview show where my main show is Code 47, our Star Trek show, where we've had Star Trek guests so far, and we've had some great ones, starting off with Doug Jones, the famous Doug Jones. That was amazing. And we're going to be transitioning into doing in-depth breakdown of Star Trek characters. Captain Kirk will be our first one when we get around to it. But it's just been fantastic. And we've had people signing up. We've got 8 people who are on the level with us now in various investment levels with our Patreon who are making it possible. We're just so very grateful.
Yeah, it's growing at a decent pace. I'm really happy to see the growth and the uptake for what we're doing. And like Charlie said, my latest episode, I'm kind of going back and forth on a few different kind of ideas, but basically I want to supplement what shows that I do. So between this and co-op mode, I'm either going to be talking about video games or Star Wars and getting a little bit more in depth. So we're going to go with a review of the episode of Bad Batch that had Gunji in it today. But if you listen to that Patreon show, I go a little bit way more in depth than what we're going to be doing today with who Gunji was, why he's important, and especially talking about his lightsaber and how it inspired my lightsaber design that's just behind me right there with Brylark wood and just the overall kind of like uniqueness of Gunji's lightsaber and why that's important, and a little bit about the material that he used and some other inspirations of some unique lightsabers that so it's a little episode chunk that again, way more in depth than I think we're going to do in the review today, but it's fun stuff. And again, for the video game side, for the episode that's going to drop this week for Canardian's Corner, which is the name of my show, Todd and I talked about the recent Nintendo Direct, but like very quickly. and I'm going to get more into that, and like some of the games and the breakdowns of different things that I've been checking out, and the importance of what they announced. So it's really fun. It's cool to do those little breakout shows and stuff. So if you want to support us on Patreon, you can go over to patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite and throw a buck our way. Everything helps, and if you can't help us out financially, which is totally understandable and 100% fine. You still get all of these normal shows regularly dropped. And we're going to be sharing some of those extra shows just to give you a little sneak peek so you're not fully missing out. Some of them will be kind of like early releases, like your Doug Jones interview. You're going to release that to the public after a certain amount of time so everyone kind of gets to hear it, right?
Right, right.
So like some of it's early release, some of it is 100% exclusive to the Patreons. And yeah, so sharing helps. Sharing the show, if you like what we're doing, just hit that retweet button. So with all that said, with all that out of the way, Louis, what's new?
What's new? Actually, before what's new, since we are on the topic of video games, and I know you play the Oculus, I
Yes.
actually was put on recently to. I didn't even know that they had this. It's a mod on this game called, I think it's called Contractors or something on the Oculus. They have a Clone Wars mod. All right. So you're essentially playing, it's Battlefront. All right. And
Oh,
I
Right.
am terrible at it, but it has been a great time. Murph on Twitter, he was the one that put me onto it. Again, I'm
okay.
terrible at it. It is not an easy game for me, but you're running through, Battlefront 1 maps, Battlefront 2 maps. I was playing in the Death Star the other day as the clones, and it's funny because it's Star Wars, so all the fans in there, if you spawn as one of the clones, everyone's in there for the Republic. You're playing as some of the droids, and Roger, Roger, Roger. That's all you hear the entire match. So
That's
That's
definitely,
awesome.
amazing.
yeah, definitely recommend that. It's a great time, even if you're not good at it. I say that from experience because, again, not good at it. So, but no, that was great, and I figured you might like to check that out. And we could even hop on
Yeah.
because you can play online with it. So
Oh,
great
sick.
time,
Okay, I'm
great
gonna have
time.
to
Nice.
ask you a little bit more about that. I'll DM you like the how do I get it kind of details. That's really
Yeah,
cool. Thanks for sharing that, man.
yeah,
That's awesome.
absolutely. But yeah, so I
Um,
started kind of playing that recently. I got back into printing. I had to take a little break because work and life and things. But then hit a
Right.
snag. My computer just broke. I'm using my work computer right now. Hopefully,
oh no,
hopefully they don't see this, but I'm using my work computer now.
yeah, edit that part out.
Yeah, and this is what I was building Rex's helmet, and this is how far I got,
Ooh.
and
Oh
it's
no.
just.
The back of it, it looks like a old Battlestar Galactica helmet. So if that
Oh,
doesn't
I'm
work out,
thinking,
you got a double
I could do
prop.
something with it. I might just keep it like this, and then
Well,
you
exactly. Yeah, it looks
know,
like or like
Oh,
what
that's
Buck
cool.
Rogers wore because we did a Buck Rogers on my show on my Patreon recently. So yeah,
yeah,
That's
same
so
props
cool.
because it's the same prop maker.
I just
Whoa.
printed this from the Inquisitor's mask, but
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
so was having fun with it. Hoping to get a. I'm gonna buy another computer probably either this week, but just diving deep into some Star Wars.
Yeah. So
Started
you
reading
do pretty.
again.
Where in the country do you live at? The East
I'm
Coast?
in Boston. Yeah, Boston
Oh,
area.
okay, gotcha. If you
Yeah.
lived any closer, I'm always looking because I'm going to be outfitting my new studio with more helmets and stuff.
Yep.
So I know we might need to be speaking about that.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I need to get it. I got two printers at this point, but one no computer. So, and I
All
couldn't
right,
download the software on my work computer. I can do this, but this is the
cool.
extent
All
of
Yeah,
right,
it.
well, going through a web browser that's already installed is one thing. Doing
Yeah,
extra
yeah,
software
right.
is a whole other
You're
thing.
right.
So if anyone from work is listening, this is just using Chrome. I'm doing the
yeah,
rest of
yeah.
it.
Yes.
It's through the website. Don't worry about it. No installs. That's why we use Zencaster.
Right.
So, yeah, just saving your ass. That's um, do you? I can't remember. Do you don't you're doing that just for fun, right? Do you sell the stuff that you 3D print at
That
all? Like
is
once you
the
get kind
goal,
of
but
get back into
yeah,
it, that's
yeah,
the goal.
yeah. That's the goal. Like I said, I have two printers at this point, and I just print out like some like knickknacks and stuff. Like these are pretty cool. Like some like statues.
Nice.
I don't know what my other ones were, but some lightsabers. I printed the lightsabers up there. This is Vader's lightsaber. So they're pretty cool. They're
Oh,
pretty cool. I'm hoping to
fantastic.
be able to get them. The goal is to print every character's lightsaber and get them signed. I've gotten Moff Gideon to sign it. I've gotten Ahsoka, Ashley Eckstein to
Nice.
sign it. But I
That's
just love
awesome.
collecting stuff, and printed some like
Yeah.
random stuff like Beskar ingots, like just
Amazing. Yeah, I remember
you
seeing
never
that
have too
email.
many Star Wars things, so
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
Yeah.
I just saw actually speaking, and I forgot to list our patrons. Jeez. So Sean Nias actually, he was just printed an Obi-Wan Kenobi lightsaber,
yep.
which he said he was going to send me. That's really really cool, and some stuff for Todd as well. So again, thank you to Sean,
Hello.
Henry, and Stella.
Thanks, Sean.
Uh,
I like
yeah,
stuff.
just ignoring Charlie completely, which is perfectly fine. Also have to
That was
thank
good.
Missy Merchant, another one of our BFF tier friends. Jamie Prinkley on the best buds list. Brendan Myers, John Sadorf, and the Phoenix Sisters cosplay on the Friends with Benefit list. And I'm going to give a shout out because I don't think we have to even the Friend Zone, which don't get an episode or a shout out every episode, but Joanna um, Daskovich, I want to say.
Joanna Deskovich and
There we go.
my very good buddy Derek Trevelyan, who is
Yes.
he's a figurehead with me. We help each other collect Star Wars figures in particular. I'm always bird dogging for him. I find a big old stack of clearance at a Target. I brought him 6 vintage series X Wolves recently that were like $7 each. So I take care of my friends, and he takes care of us.
Excellent. Yeah, so it's great to see the sport. Sorry, I forgot that at the start of the show. Back to Louis. Okay, I know we went through your Star Wars origin last time. It was just
Yep.
in October, so we've only had a few episodes since then. Hopefully, people have either heard that or can go back and hear your Star Wars origin. But I wanted to come up with a new question, and I know you were racking your brain before we started recording. So I came up with this. I'm going to ask Charlie first to give you a little bit of time to think this one through, just in case you haven't settled on one yet. But my question is, since Star Wars is basically just constant suffering, tragedy, Star Wars is always pain. Kind of wrapped in a laser sword and killer poncho candy coating. If you were in the Star Wars universe, Charlie, what hilarious way would you die?
I'm going to go the PG-13 route. Sorry, Henry, if you're listening. So earmuffs. I
Yeah, yeah.
think I would be involved in some kind of Ewok Wookiee 3-way, and somebody would get jealous, and I get ripped in half. That's what I'm thinking. It'd be hilarious to someone else, but I would be ripped in two like Deadpool was by the Juggernaut. You know what I mean? That's basically what I would have in line for me.
Okay.
What
All
can
right.
I say?
Well,
I did it for the Wookiee.
would it
Yep.
be would it be one of the participants or a fourth member that wasn't included?
I mean, no matter what, it would be too late for me. I'd be stuck.
just a hut walks in, is like, "What are you
Yeah,
doing?" Yeah, just rips
yeah,
him. Yeah,
right.
I like it.
How
I
could
like
you?
it.
We've been in counseling. You said we were past this. Ah, terrible. Terrible.
Amazing. Yeah. Man, I'm gonna go with. I was thinking at first, kind of do like the Luke Skywalker like looked at a lightsaber and luckily it didn't go off and end the trilogy right there. But I was kind of thinking about that one, just like cleaning my lightsaber and it went off and stabbed me through the face. But I think based on my personality, and my wife is convinced that this is the way I'm actually going to die in real life. So don't cry for me if it happens. But I'm going to say, here, kitty, 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 to some
Oh
big
yeah,
animal that's like way too big. So I'd see like a rancor and be like, oh, come here, little buddy. And I'd just get ripped to shreds. So that's probably the
Right.
way I'm actually going to die in real life. Like I'd be like, oh, look at that little thing that's on fire and it's a dragon. And I'd be like, come here, you cutie. And it'd just eat me. And that's the way I'd go.
That's
if
a That's a Ralph Wiggum scenario. Oh, the point. Oh, look at the pointy kitty, and it's a possum.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I've done that with a possum. Not even joke. Like I saw that, I was just like, "Look at you!" And it was like it wasn't playing possum. It was like I was like,
the
"Okay,
next
you're an
tweet we
angry
saw
kitty."
was Mark saying he was in the hospital with rabies.
Yeah.
Yeah, we call
This was
that
a couple
referring
of
to
years ago. I
cats.
lived.
We call that
Yeah,
a
no,
spicy kitty.
the spicy, yeah, very spicy kitty. And they're not where I am. Like I don't have possums here. So this was, I was out of
Oh,
town and I landed at the hotel and there's a possum in the parking lot. And I was just like, look at that one.
Yeah, I
But
think
like
something
I'm
similar.
stupid enough to chase like raccoons and wolves and coyes and foxes and whatever. I see in the
come here,
military.
you.
They're- language. But that's just that's who I am, and that's what I do.
Oh my
So there we
goodness.
go. Louis, did you have time to
If
think of a stupid
Yeah,
way to
we
die?
just we
if we're
teed you up that softball. Go for it.
Oh no, I appreciate it. If we're talking about realistic things, that could definitely happen. And I feel like a lot of people, when Darth Maul lost to Obi-Wan, they were like, that would never happen. He'd never not take it serious. I cannot tell you how many times I've walked into a situation completely overconfident and then just the situation just not go how I planned. But I think a funny way, I just feel like every time something happens in Star Wars, whether it's a Clone Wars, a ship's getting attacked or something, everyone's always prepared. What if you're in the bathroom? What if you're in the bathroom, someone shoots the thing off, bathroom just goes flying off into space? What do you do then? What do you do then? That would absolutely be the worst way to go. And then they find
You're
my
right.
body. Oh,
You're
he died
riding
on
that
the
toilet into
toilet.
orbit. Well, wasn't that was one of the
I like
bits
that.
in what I've always felt was the most exciting space portion of any Star Wars was the first 2 minutes of Episode 3, where they're flying through and stuff is blowing up, and that last shot before Obi-Wan, before they pull back that long that pulls back to Obi-Wan and Anakin, you see a piece of debris shoot from one to another, and it's a toilet that smashes into another ship. I swear
Yeah,
to
it was,
God, look it
it
up.
was me sitting on it.
He was
That
like,
toilet.
he was like, I regret nothing.
Everyone was
Oh
blowing
man.
something up that day.
There was the slow mo like Dave Chappelle in the toilet.
Uh, I
Oh my
this
goodness!
went better than I expected. This has been Dumb Ways to Die, brought to you
Wow,
by the
whatever the hell
Holocron Chronicles.
you're expecting, I don't even want to know what you're expecting.
Fantastic. I'm trying to think. I'm like, what could you eat that might act as a propellant if you did just hold your
too
breath and just like kind of like
too
I ate
too much blue
Del
milk. I don't
Taco
know.
and
Think
I'm
of
just
yeah,
Blue milk and
Schwarzkopf.
spice.
there's
Yeah,
some space
that
tacos and just like fart your way back to the planet.
Yeah, that
Uh,
soup that
it's-
Grogu was eating that had the octopus in it. That's what it was.
yeah,
Oh,
oh,
yep,
maybe it was
Spashka.
Spicy
Yeah,
soup.
yeah. Yeah, that's this has been fantastic. Thank you guys for indulging Dumb Ways to Die. I think I'm gonna keep going with this. So look forward
All
to it
right,
next episode. There we go.
you bet.
And now Charlie, we have to think of new dumb ways to die every week, or maybe we just ask our
Oh, you
guests. I
bet.
don't know. Maybe
We'll
we'll see
yes.
we'll see how it goes. Let us know if you're listening. Let us know your favorite dumb way to die in the Star Wars section of our Discord. You can join that in the show notes
Yes.
and
Yes,
or
please.
in Linktree in my Twitter profile or anything else, and join us and share your favorite Star Wars dumb ways to die. Now, speaking of people who set themselves up weekly for potential disaster, but seem to always remain unscathed. Let's talk about the Bad Batch. We've
I
got
know
3
it's
episodes
like a sitcom.
to what was
They
that?
get into crazy situations. It's like a sitcom. We're getting into crazy situations, but in 22 minutes we're just fine.
That's it. Well, yeah, so far unscathed. Charlie, you mentioned at the start of the show we did get a triple threat this week or this
Yes,
for this
this
episode.
episode, yeah.
We got the Tribe on February 1st, and then a double dip with Clone Conspiracy and Truth and Consequences dropped on February 8th. Since Clone Conspiracy and Truth of Consequences kind of go together, let's talk about Tribe first
Of course.
and talk a little bit about my boy Gunji.
How excited were
Yes.
you? How excited were you for that?
Like 15 out of 10. Like one of
Yeah.
my favorite Jedi.
Right. And
Just
Gunji, just real briefly, because I had asked my wife April, I'm like, yeah, I feel like Gunji, like we've seen him before, because that was from the Clone Wars at some juncture. Was it from the first Bad Batch? Like, was it from that part of it?
From the Clone
I'm
Wars, right?
misremembering.
yeah, he was in the Clone Wars. Specifically, they were in season 5, episode 6. I want to say
Very
6, 7, and 8. But the
specifically.
first one was
Very
was
specifically. I know he was in the Clone Wars. That's as specific
Right.
as I know.
he was part of the group. There's a full group of Jedi younglings, and this is why I love this arc so much. Is because it has lightsaber lore in it, finally in canon, which is very very important, as I spoke about again in that video that I just released. So he's with a group of other Jedi who are taken to Ilum. With
Oh,
with
yeah,
Yoda, with Ahsoka, they're
They're trying
taken
to
there.
find their Trying to find their
and they're
crystals.
trying to find their kyber crystals. And Ilum was also featured in Jedi Fallen Order after kind of the fall. So you get to see it a little bit on the downturn. And then Ilum, the last time we saw it, was getting blown up because it was turned into Starkiller Base, which
Bye bye.
sucked. Um,
Boo.
so Ilum, basically the sacred planet for the
Wait,
Jedi,
what?
which, yeah,
You never knew? Yeah, that
yeah,
was that they even backed that up in an issue of the Marvel Comics run that's happening between Empire and Jedi. Luke's trying to go
mhm,
around check out Jedi planets. He pulls up on Ilum and sees what's going on, and he nopes the f out of there. He's like,
yeah,
turns
God,
around.
I
Yeah,
love Star
yeah.
Wars.
So they basically took this like sacred planet where eons of generations of Jedi went to get their kyber crystal, and I mean it was like the planet as you saw in these episodes of the Clone Wars, basically almost had a life to it because it could the trials that it set out for these younglings to get their kyber crystals were based individually. So Gunji was very impatient, and to get his kyber crystal, he had to have the patience to wait till the lake froze over and then he can go get it. But you
right,
can't
right
speed that
now it's
up. You
coming back.
can't
No, I get it.
you can't rush that through. So we saw Gunji in those episodes as very impatient and ready to go, and then kind of tone himself down. And they built their lightsabers with Hugh Yang, who was voiced by David Tennant. He is a droid, which I always thought was very cool. That the Jedi who were so racked in tradition and stuff, but like also kind of exclusive to like if you don't have force powers, GTFO. But they let
Hmm.
this droid basically guide these young generations of Jedi through building the most important thing they're going to ever build, which is a lightsaber. Um, so you saw him put together his wooden lightsaber, which was incredibly unique. Brylark wood is the only wood strong enough to basically withstand the heat and pressure of a lightsaber and a kyber crystal. So you don't see it very often. Again, elemental nature lightsabers at Galaxy's Edge feature that kind of wood, and so did his design. So always a very that's why I chose one of the reasons I chose that lightsaber is because of Gunji's design. So I freaking love this Wookiee. Wookiee Jedi are very rare. We've seen I think two in canon, Buryaga and Gunji. That's it. High Republic and this guy. So super important. And it was awesome to see him again. Kind of sad that we didn't see the rest of the crew or hear about the rest of his crew, which they might have gone their separate ways to stay safe. You can hunt down a group of
That's putting it nicely. That's hoping for
Yeah,
the
yeah,
hopefully,
best.
yeah.
hoping for the best.
Hopefully, Order 66 didn't turn out well for a lot of Jedi. So uh, it, I hate to say this, but if any of them are going to survive, I'm happy it was Gunji because I don't know. I just have a soft
He's
spot for that little
he's
Wookiee.
got character. He's got character.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, nobody else was very memorable, but Gunji, his
Yeah.
lightsaber,
I gotta
everything
forget
about
a
it.
Wookiee Jedi youngling. That's gonna stand out. Yeah, without a
Yeah,
That's
doubt.
it. So basically, here we kind of catch back up. They meet on the Vanguard axis for a job until Omega meets Gunji, who's being a little bullied by the cartel captors, and
the droid
she
cartel too.
the droid
Yeah,
cartel, and she
exactly.
kind of realizes this is some bad stuff. So she helps
Right.
him out, and they basically say, okay, we're gonna get you home. Let's go. And that's the whole kind of mission for this. And we know the Empire uh, does not treat Kashyyyk very nicely, which is the home planet of the Wookiees. So they're already kind of in their takeover period of the planet. And we see Trandoshan mercenaries working for the Empire and the Empire in general. And yeah, it doesn't go well for them because they're up against the Bad Batch and Wookiee Jedi. I
Right.
friggin' loved every single frame of this episode. What did you guys think? I've been gushing for like 10 minutes about how great this is and how great the character is. Louis, what about you?
I will tell you, I love Kashyyyk. More Kashyyyk content we get, the better. Everything about it, especially after playing Fallen Order, going up the tree.
Yeah.
I think that place is beautiful. I love, kind of like how you said about Elam, where it feels like it's alive. Like obviously you
Mm,
saw the episode where the trees were they were getting their battle plan from the trees. I
Yeah.
just feel like that feels very much Star Wars to me. Like very much like they're in tune with the Force, even though they might
Hmm.
not all
Hmm.
be Force sensitives. I
Yeah.
think everything about that. I love the whole Trandoshans versus Wookiees, and for anyone who doesn't know, Wookiees and Trandoshans never, ever, ever have gotten along.
Mm.
Trandoshans hunt the Wookiees for sport, and I love all of that. That's why we see it again in Book of Boba Fett. With
Yeah.
uh,
Hmm.
in the
Yeah,
Locker
right.
Trandoshans.
Stanton.
So
Yeah.
I would love
If
to
you
see
let
some
him
more.
go, I will pay your whole tab.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
right.
Rips him in two. Like, just,
All right, I'll just take an arm then.
yeah.
Yeah, right. Just a little something to remember you
So
by.
great.
A little
So great.
spice.
Yeah, no, that
Yeah.
was great. I thought it was a great episode. I love the Bad Batch taking us to a bunch of different places, but Kashyyyk, I need to see more Kashyyyk. As much like I said, the more Kashyyyk, the better to me. And I thought it was a great episode.
Yeah, that's anytime that like what pick a Star Wars planet you'd like to live on thing pops up on Twitter or somewhere else. I'm always like Kashyyyk, 100%. Let's go.
Kashyyyk,
Yeah.
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 That's my
Take me to those
go-to. Like,
tall Rorschach trees, baby,
yeah,
baby.
there's trees, there's wilderness, there's like the Wookiees always seem just like a great group. And then we saw in Fallen Order there's still like water and
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
It's
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 still
it's a nice
beautiful.
looks like a
Cal
beautiful
seeing
planet.
how much untouched things
Uh,
are still there. That just
yeah.
great
Right.
game. I like
Right.
climbing
Yeah.
the trees and just sitting up there.
And you bring up a really good point about being in tune with the Force, even though they might not be considered a Force sensitive group or whatever. But I mean, there's definitely something there, right? It's
Oh
not
yeah,
like Avatar where they're like plugging their ponytails into a tree to talk to it. Like they're feeling
Or the
something
water, or
there,
that we know of. That
right?
we know of.
you don't
Like,
want to. You
yeah.
don't want. Yeah, like I
So,
said, you don't want to see what's under the fur and what they're doing with the trees. And
but
no, thank you.
it is very much another group like the Night Sisters or someone else that's in tune with a certain part of the Force. Maybe not the first go-to choice for the Jedi or the Sith, but there's something there that there's more
Yeah.
to it than maybe on the surface, or that humans or other species really recognize, I guess is the best way to put it. So I love
Honestly,
that.
I think it maybe has something to do. They're not advancing in terms of like technology and stuff, but I feel like a lot of that just gets in the way in Star Wars.
Mm,
Where like they're too advanced, so they kind of forget. Like even when we see
right.
Han, where he was saying like, "Oh, I've seen the whole galaxy, and I've never seen anything like about the Force or anything." But obviously Chewie should have said something at that point, knowing that they've been
Yeah.
friends. But going back to Kashyyyk, I just feel like they're like, well, we don't need any of that. We've got everything we have right here. We're just gonna
Hmm.
enjoy what we do have, and then just be in tune with it. And
Yeah.
I think that people maybe think like, oh, well, it's the Wookiees. They're not advanced, but they're advanced in other ways, which is clearly in terms
Right.
of just being able to be in tune with their surroundings, and
Yeah.
it serves them
Right.
well.
Yeah, it illustrates something that drives home not only the heart of this, but again, 28 minutes, 28 seconds talking about Star Trek, how it's very endemic with the different alien races, things that aren't humanoid, languages that can't be spoken. Now, in Star Trek, they have the benefit of everybody wears a little badge. They got a little widget called a universal translator. So everybody speaks English and can understand each other. But in Star Wars, it's not the case. You have completely alien languages, and unless you speak it, you're out of luck. So Han poorly speaks Sherwook when we meet him when they're in the pit in Solo, and then he obviously gets a lot better at it. And you have a translator droid is essentially a universal translator, but it might have an obnoxious personality like R2D2 or something, or like C3PO, excuse me.
C3PO.
But you're right; they speak to the greater consciousness of the universe, the Force, in ways that have nothing to do with the spoken language. So
Mm.
that's pretty sweet. My biggest fear with Gunji is that this was a great story of the compassion of young Omega, because she's like, we've got to take him home. She's the one who rescues him. We've got to take him home. They get him back home. They fight this pitched battle with those slimy Transoceans, and they drive them off. Unfortunately, now that Gunji's back home in a planet that's under Imperial control, and we're gonna very shortly have Inquisitors in the mix, what's gonna happen to him? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what makes
Yeah,
me afraid.
yeah, very much so. Yeah,
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
because
anytime they get involved, it just feels like it gets way worse
yeah,
for them. And we saw in the Clone Wars, anytime the clones or the
yeah,
Jedi saved the village, the Empire was
yeah,
right there to conquer it.
yeah,
So,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, by the time we get to Rebels, we
oh,
really
the
don't
Separatists, I mean,
know
yeah,
who's around. Yeah, we
yeah,
don't really know who's around. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
we know that Obi-Wan, and as I've said, I hope they did with Obi-Wan. They're going to leave him alone now. They just leave him on Tatooine to see out the rest of his destiny. But Yoda is chilling, doing his own thing, and we don't really. Ahsoka is out there somewhere during that, between episodes, 3 and 4. Um, yeah, you don't know. You don't know if Gunji didn't then somehow escape, because all of all of Kashyyyk was outrightly uh, slaverized. Basically, they were just.
Mhm.
I mean, you saw it. You saw it in the Solo film, and you've seen it in various other references. You saw it in the Star Wars Holiday Special. No, not really, because that's not canon, and it was ridiculous. It was not all Wookiee, space porn and stuff, and songs by Jefferson Starship. That's just not how that went. But yes, I too feel for Gunji, and want him to be safe. So I'm keeping my
The
fingers crossed.
the nice thing about it is we have plenty of time for them to tell us what
Yeah.
happened, because Wookiees live a hell of a long time unless something real bad
Hmm.
happens. It's also
Right.
very easy, I think, for the Empire to overlook Gunji unless he whips out that lightsaber. They're pretty
Right.
racist.
They're pretty
They're just going to
racist.
be like,
Right.
okay, it's another Wookiee. So
Right.
unless unless he does something to kind of invoke an Inquisitor coming there, he can kind of hide out as a shaman or leader or something and just chill as a Wookiee rather than as a Jedi.
right. I will
And
say,
also,
not seeing him on Fallen Order
mm,
though on Kashyyyk, I don't know. Maybe not.
yeah,
Might not be a
it's a
great
big
sign.
planet. It is a
Yeah.
big planet.
Yeah.
No.
We
Right.
don't
Huge.
know
Yeah.
Yeah. It
exactly
Definitely.
is. Yeah.
where he
Lots
is, right? It's
lots of
if
lots of trees to hide in. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, if Cal's running around New York and Gunji's chilling in California, they ain't
Right.
meeting. So
No, no, definitely not. But I
that's
do
yeah,
Yeah.
think that them being so force
California gravy.
attuned, I do think them being not force attuned, but just attuned to Kashyyyk is probably
mhm,
what's kept them from being able to be completely taken over. We see the separatists there, we see the empire there. Everyone's tried to lay some claim to. I'm sure Kashyyyk is very it's filled with resources, and no one can actually
Hmm.
just fully conquer it. So I think
mhm,
that again, it plays to them. They know where to hide, they know the environment, and I mean, if the trees are telling them what to do, and the trees are everywhere, and they're all
Right.
connected,
yeah,
it's gonna be hard to beat. But
yeah, and you see nature kind of take in too, like those
oh yeah,
spider things. We're just like, okay,
Oh my
you
gosh.
guys
Yeah.
do a
It's
little bit, we're gonna clean up.
right out of
Yeah, you got a
Harry
whole
Potter's forest. Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah, you got a whole planet kind of working against the Empire, so it's kind of neat.
Right.
yeah,
I hope
definitely.
we see. I mean, we know Chewbacca's what, a couple hundred years old.
I think he's like
Uh,
190, right, or something like that. He's
Was that
190.
he was at the time of Solo, so he's right around that
Yeah,
age at this time, and then yeah,
yeah?
just add another 40, 50
So
years
in
on
the
by the time
sequel
sequel.
trilogies, he's like pushing two at least, if not
Two
over. So
two right, yeah, probably 250. So yeah.
yeah,
yeah, really, Gunji has a pretty long life. He's a youngling
yeah.
in this,
Right.
a couple of years older now, but real drop in the bucket for a couple of hundred
Right.
year lifespan. So
I hope we get
Assuming
to
he
see him
can
we
again.
could realistically see him kicking around the
right.
sequels of the sequels. Like he could have been somewhere in that starship armada that showed up in Exegol, and just
Right.
we haven't heard about. There's 1,000 ships that show up there, and we've
Right.
seen the inside of three of them. I don't know,
I
like
mean,
it's
as long as he managed to escape the Inquisitors, and let's say for some reason he was at Luke's school, and hopefully he escaped that. Maybe he and Grogu are together. Why not?
yeah,
Right?
that's yeah.
He and Grogu are out flying another White T 1300 class Carillion freighter, doing the same deal. Little Grogu in his little car seat, moving stuff with the Force.
I like
And
that.
then Gunji's back there going, rah, 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 rah. There. You know what? Disney money, not Disney money, please. I just gave you $1
Money.
million idea. You're welcome.
I like it.
You
I like
can't
it.
really go
That's
wrong
So
with that.
hard.
Yeah.
Right.
Post
Gunji and
post
Grogu,
post Mando,
The G's, Star
the
Wars
G
G
Squad.
Force, the
That's
G Squad.
They can make it
I
work.
like
They
it.
can.
This was such a great episode for me. I loved it, and it led into again a little bit more serious stuff, a little bit of heartbreak that
Oof.
we mentioned. Star Wars is always that kind of heartbreak. So let's get into the clone conspiracy and truth and consequences. I think we can bundle these episodes up together.
Yes, it's a
Charlie, you
bundle.
want to give us a quick kind of synopsis of what's going on in these episodes? Again, for anything,
Yeah.
full spoilers. If you
Full
didn't catch
spoilers,
that
yes,
when we
which
talked about the Gunji episode, but these ones are a little bit more
exactly.
important than more flavor of the week stuff. So go for it.
Correct. So anyway, we are on Coruscant now. We're in the Senate, and Admiral Rampart, who's that just total scumbag that we've been tracking the whole series, who killed a clone to cover up his crimes, is in front of the Senate, and he's pushing the Military Recruitment Act, which basically would shutter the clones for good, and it would start the Military Conscription Act, which would give birth to the Stormtroopers. Now, he's being opposed by a Senator Chuchi, who is defending the clones' rights. And there's a lingering narrative about what happened on Camino. She's being approached by a clone trooper named Slip because his clone trooper friend Cade was killed by a mysterious sniper who was going to come clean with this material. So it's a chase that eventually we're going to get our boys involved, but that's not going to end up happening till part two. But it's a chase through. Rex gets in the mix. He saves Chuchi at the last minute and is the one who takes down this assassin sniper, who they find out is also a clone, who also kills himself with basically the cyanide tooth, but it's an electrical zap that he
You know what?
blasts
That's the
himself
worst way
with.
to die. You're eating like a pizza or an
Worst.
apple or something like that, and then you bite too hard, and then boom, you're done.
Exactly. Yeah,
Accidentally bite
where
your spy tooth. Yeah.
you're like, oh man, deep dish Chicago pizza. Oh, that's bad. Or lobster or something like oh man, yeah. Maine lobster. You're
That's
like, oh, they flew this in from the other side of the galaxy. Oh. But at any rate, yeah, then we get our boys involved in part two. And it turns into a heist. Basically, Rex realizes that the proof that they need to illustrate that Rampart story is we don't know what happened on Camino. It just fell into the sea or whatever. I guess it sucks, but whatever. I mean, we know that he and his Star Destroyers blew it all away from orbit because we watched it happen in the season 1 finale. So Rex and the gang, they get on board Rampart's ship, which happens to be in dry dock on the ground, very conveniently, on Coruscant. They manage to get the data, and they get it to the Senate in time. Chuchi is able to play this in front of the entire Senate and expose him. And then, just like clockwork, Palpatine himself pops up and his little thingy, his little deal on the dais, and he says, I'm so glad that the senator was able to expose this terrible officer in my army, but this is all the more reason that this guy, he was so corrupt, and he even ordered these clones and nobody questioned him. That's why the clones have got to go, and we need stormtroopers that are just regular people that know the difference between right and wrong. And our clones figure out that, you know what, just like with the whole Clone Wars, this was always his. He had this all lined up. He was 2 steps ahead of our 1 step. So in the end of it, Palpatine gets what he wants. Obviously, our guys get away, but Echo decides to stay with Rex. He's going to stay with Rex and fight the cause. So there's this terribly tearful goodbye between Echo and Omega before our gang then moves off, to continue with their own mission. So Star Wars heartbreak.
Yeah. So a couple of things before I ask Louis how to your thoughts. When Kay was on a couple of episodes ago, we were talking about what we want from this season. She said she wanted to see Rex. I said I couldn't wait to see Gunji, and I forget who it was. I think it might have been me, but one of us mentioned we wonder how long we would go if we would see one of the Bad Batch be
Split
lost
off.
this
Yeah.
season. I assumed at the time we were talking about seeing one maybe killed or something like that, but Echo choosing to leave
Right.
was out of left field. I didn't see that, and I'm very sad. We were all right about things, um,
Hmm. Hmm.
which is crazy. But Kay got her Rex appearance, and that's great. And then someone left, which I
Right.
again did not expect. But holy, yeah, we're seeing that the Bad Batch crew may not be as solid. Another note: we see Rex later, and Echo's not with him later, and that
Right.
makes me sad. And
Right.
you guys are
Yeah.
wondering if Gunji makes it through, and it's like, well, what happened? Does he go back with the Bad Batch and they all live happily ever after, or does something very bad
Yeah.
happen to
Yeah.
Echo?
when
And
when you see
like,
when you see Rex and Rebels, he's with Wolf and he's with Gregor and nobody
yeah,
else.
that's
And
it.
like
So
I said, my big mastermind prediction is that much like they did in the current Marvel run in the first volume that they ended, that took place between A New Hope and Empire, that Marvel published for the last several years, there was a double cross. They had a new ally who's like, "Yeah, I'm going to help you get the whole fleet together," and it was a complete double cross because the fleet assembled and then the Empire came down and wiped out 80% of them. I feel like it's going to be
mm,
something like this. Like, maybe Crosshair's going to be like, I've seen the light, guys. I'm with you. Let's all get together, at this diner on Coruscant, and we'll talk about it. And then there'll be stormtroopers waiting there and blow them all away. It'll be the same kind of deal.
mm,
That's what
yeah,
I'm afraid of. And that's maybe where we see the Waterloo of Echo and, God, maybe all of them. Hopefully not Omega. I mean, they got to kill off Omega, right? She's a kid.
no,
I
no,
Oh,
mean, of
she's
course
got to
they,
meet. She's got to meet Boba first, at least.
yeah,
yes,
big
exactly,
brother Boba. Yeah,
100%.
you're right, because she's another unfiltered, with the exception of the fact that she's female. She's an unfiltered, regular aging clone with no
Yeah,
special anything. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's what makes her so special.
Louis, what do you think of these episodes?
I will tell you, I love that the Bad Batch has taken us to a lot of different places, but this is the storyline I was waiting for. I want to see what is going on. The transition between the clones to the stormtroopers. I would love to see some sort of, obviously you can't have the Camino uprising anymore because Camino's gone, but I would love to see some sort of clone troopers versus stormtroopers. I don't think we'll get to see that, at least not until like some big like war capacity. But I'm
Mm,
saying some fully geared clones against some fully geared stormtroopers would be incredible to see. I would love to
The
see
clone,
some.
they're not going to go without a fight.
No, yeah, I don't think that they will either. That I wish that they would, but even seeing
bananas.
a handful of them would be cool. I'd love to see Rex and Cody now that we know Cody went AWOL. I would love to
Yeah,
see them kind of meet up and leading some sort of revolt, I guess.
big
Uprising maybe.
squad.
Rebellion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the first rebellion, the clone rebellion.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's exactly. I'm hoping we get to see it. I really need to know, and maybe this goes nowhere, but they were saying that that clone assassin. I mean, they said he wasn't a trooper, but what was
Hmm.
going on? Why did he have his
And
identity
unnumbered or
wiped?
something, right? Yeah, no idea. Yeah,
I think this was the most menacing we've seen the Emperor. To be honest,
yeah.
right.
I had just finished reading Darth Plagueis recently, so just
Mm,
getting into all of that and seeing him develop into Darth Sidious, and then I know you've obviously he looks very menacing in the original trilogy, somewhat menacing in Rebels, but I think this was the first time we were able to see this is Darth Sidious, and he is
Mm,
in control of everything. He doesn't really care, and he plays the game like he does care. Him starting out. I'm troubled by finding out that that
right.
Rampart did this and that. Like obviously you're not, but
Yeah, right.
everyone believes him, so he's got everyone in the palm of his
What a
hand.
mystery! What a shock!
Oh yeah, this guy's like but
He's like,
I
oh, it's a mystery. Clutch the pearls. I just don't know what's happening here.
yeah, I think that this was the one of the most menacing moments we've seen of him, and seeing Ian McDermott come back for that. That's
yeah,
incredible, and
yeah.
I absolutely loved it. Like I said, this is a storyline that I've been waiting for. Just this Order 66 stuff. We're seeing clones starting to question things. I need to see more of that, and I hope that this is the direction that we're going.
Yeah. It feels bigger. It feels like
Yeah,
it means something.
yeah.
As much as I've stated this season, for some reason I'm very much enjoying the mission of the week kind of thing, because it's
Hmm.
fun, it's exciting, it's Indiana Jones, it's Wookiees, it's like
Yeah,
it's that fun stuff, and I'm digging it. But
I agree.
this stuff, I feel like it matters way
Oh
more
yeah.
for the
Oh
story
yeah.
of this
True.
universe.
True.
It
Oh yeah.
really, really, really paints the picture.
Impactful.
A
Yeah.
that yeah, we're seeing that transition from clone troopers to stormtroopers. We're seeing that Palpatine's playing chess, and everybody else in the galaxy is playing freaking shoots and ladders. Like they're not even on the
Yeah.
same board. They're not saying that, like he's not two steps ahead. He's playing a different game, and
Right.
no one else is even on anywhere close to that level. Like, and we're seeing this, and apparently this is going to tie more into what's happening in the Mandalorian, and just like, so we're seeing these little bits and pieces that they're just dropping, that's connecting the tissue of this universe and unraveling the bigger mystery, while we can still get fun little stories about
Oh
Wookiee
yeah.
Jedi and stuff. Like, it's
Hmm.
this season is just, we're 8 episodes in, and it's like, damn, like this is
I
just
like the
hitting
longer
everything for
seasons
me.
too. I like the longer
Yeah.
Right.
seasons too. I've been enjoying all the stuff. I do like too, like how we're saying this. Obviously, like the Kenobi season, and just in general, original trilogy, prequel trilogy. That's a lot of dark side, light side. I like how Andor
Hmm.
was more of like it's developing the rebellion through political means, and through finding money, racking up all these different things. And then I like how Bad Batch is giving us all similar eras or similar timelines, but it's giving us different perspective. Light and dark,
Mm.
a government type of coup, maybe rebellion, and then this one is
Hmm.
a militarization. Like people are the military starting to revolt. People are starting to revolt. And again, I'm reading the Leia book right now, and that's a great book. In case if you guys want it,
Oh, you talking
yeah.
about the is the Bloodlines one, or what is it? The
This was a
which
Claudia
one
Gray
was it?
one, Princess of Alderaan,
Mm.
and
Oh, okay. I yeah, I've read one of hers, and it was great. It was set in the sequel trilogy, like prior to it.
yeah,
It was always fantastic. Yeah.
yeah, and in this one, she's kind of she's coming into herself where she's seeing that other planets are kind of starting to, or start systems are starting to like realize what's
I do.
going on,
I have
and
read that one. I have, now that you mention it.
oh, it's great. It's great. But yeah, I loved it. The Bad Batch. It's like they're all giving us different pieces of how this all came to be, and then
Mm.
what developed into the original trilogy. I've said this before. The original trilogy is my absolute favorite, and I'm loving that we're getting that we're getting to see where that all comes in.
Right.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Good stuff.
So, fellas, to wrap things up, what do you expect for the rest of this season? We know, again, we know it's going to maybe tie into bits and pieces of Mandalorian.
Hmm.
What else do you expect, Louis?
What do I expect from this? Again, I would love to see some sort of clone uprising,
Mm.
some Rex and Code. I do expect someone's going to die in the Bad
Yeah.
Batch.
Hmm.
Again, just kind of going back to Rebels, we didn't see them either. We didn't see Echo. I am wondering if we're going to see some, because this is what, pretty soon after Revenge of the Sith, right?
Within a year, I'd
Yeah,
say.
within a year.
Well,
So
I'd
there's
say it
still,
now. We're maybe 2-3 years into it.
yeah, but we're
Yeah.
still not
Yeah,
even
because it
close
was
to like
season
First
one.
Rebels.
first
Yeah.
season was kind of like during, plus probably a year through the first season.
Right.
I'm assuming. So this is, I'm gonna guess 2 to 3.
So we're still what, like
Right.
15 years from where Rebels starts and where we see Rex
Right.
again. So I'm thinking
Right.
there would be no point in Echo leaving if he's just going to die off screen or something. Maybe he dies in the Bad Batch or something. But if he goes with Rex and then we don't see what him and Rex are doing, then I
Yeah.
feel like
Right.
it doesn't really make sense unless we do see it in Bad Batch. It's a pretty long season, so we might see that. But I
Yep.
don't know. Are we going to get some Rex and Echo spinoff? And if that's the case, what are they going to be doing that's so much different than this?
Hmm.
But
Right.
I love some clones though. Again, I would I'm okay with the show that doesn't have light side, dark side, where it's just clones and something, like working against the Empire. So I'm hoping we get to see more of that. But I'm loving this. Even Masa Ameda, or Amida, however people pronounce it, but I think
Yeah,
he's a
yeah.
great character. I think his development has been fantastic, and I would like to see more of him as well. To be honest,
Mm.
He hangs in there. I mean, reading his history, he hangs in there until the bitter end. He's
yeah,
removed after the end of Return of the Jedi, so he's there the whole damn time.
yeah,
He's removed and in prison or something. He has a whole bag. If you go to Wikipedia, it's all canonical. But
can't wait to
I'm
get.
gonna say I'm going to say without a doubt, good soldiers follow orders. There's definitely going to be those clones who toe the line are going to be like, well, they're shuttering us, so I guess we'll go live in the old clones home or something. And there's going to be those that say, hey, f you, we fought and died for this galaxy. You're not going to you're not going to bin us. You're not going to all throw us out. And there's going to be a revolt. There's going to be open guerrilla warfare because you're taking an entire army of millions of highly trained soldiers in
Oh yeah,
espionage and warfare and demolitions and space fighting and hand-to-hand combat, and then you're bringing in the new soldiers who are just probably a bunch of rednecks from places like Tatooine, and be like, oh, we're going to fight the clones now, and it's going to be bloodshed.
I hope we see that.
So yeah, I'm hoping that'll be the real bad of the bad, and the guys who are leading these rebellious clones are going to be our guys. But you're right; they're not all going to live. Echo, I think he's not going to live. I mean, they may all go. I want to believe that Omega's going to live, and maybe we're going to see her
Yeah,
in a Mando or a Boba or something post Return of the Jedi where she's grown because she'd be in her 30s and her 40s by that point. Oh, well, no,
Same age as Boba
yeah,
Fett, essentially,
she'd be in her early 30s. Yeah, yeah,
right on there.
she would be 10 years younger than Boba Fett,
yeah.
basically. So yeah, I feel like we'll see her again, but I feel like the rest of them are not going to make it.
I don't think so
And I
either.
think it might happen. Yeah, I think it might happen in this grand revolt, where ultimately we know the clones aren't going to make it because they don't. Because the
Yeah,
stormtroopers, 20 years on, the stormtroopers are all there is as far as
Hmm.
what's doing the big squeeze. By the time we get to Andor, which is 10 years, 10 I'm trying to remember time. So it's basically anywhere between 7 and 9 years after this. We've got Andor, and the stormtroopers are starting to take things over. So
Hmm.
they built them up, and we're not hearing about clones anymore. So yeah, they're
I
gone.
I can't remember. I don't know if this is canon or not, but I thought at one point it was like they started replacing clone troopers, but there were still some clones potentially underneath stormtrooper armor. And I can't remember if that was ever like officially canon or if it was just kind of like, they phased out the clones, but if you wanted to stay in the army, you could, and kind of like eventually kind of get phased out because they accelerated growth. They're only, I'll say, good for a limited time anyway. So, but you
Right.
still have them hanging out.
A
So I could see
limited time offer.
Crosshair doing that,
yeah.
right? Like I could see Crosshair
Yeah.
just being like, no, I'm a soldier. I'm your soldier. Like
Right.
good soldiers
But it
follow
sounds like
orders. You're not going to get
they're
rid
just
of
gonna
me.
punt them all.
Logically
Yeah.
Or that,
speaking, why would
you
they
know,
not want the clone army? I feel like they
Right.
probably
right.
did explain to some
Yeah.
capacity, but why would they not? It's like you said, it's like a bunch of rednecks who are like, you know what? Yeah, we're gonna do this. Like, okay, what kind of training do you have? Like
Mm,
compared to some of the to these guys who were bred for that, But we'll see. I do wonder
yeah.
Right.
the clones who were arresting Rampart in the Senate chambers while
Mm.
Palpatine is like telling them like, yeah, you guys are useless. We're gonna
Right.
replace you. Like these guys would be like, what? We're right here.
I can't hear. What did he say? It's
Yeah.
not important.
Oh, you want
Yeah.
me to
Not
arrest
important.
him? Yeah, no thanks. I'm not doing that.
Well, good soldiers follow orders, so I don't know what else I'm going to do.
Yeah.
It's either
Yeah,
this or you're going to
sorry.
be that one clone that Obi-Wan ran into who is give veterans. He's holding collecting money in his helmet. He's got a big old
Yeah.
scraggly beard. So, yeah,
Right. Yeah. It
that
puts a little bit more weight on that scene, eh? Like
Oh
just,
big
yeah,
time. Yeah,
definitely,
like
definitely. I thought that
we're
was a
seeing like,
great scene to add. I thought
yeah,
that was one of the best
right,
scenes in the entire show.
right,
yeah. And that
totally,
like this episode really put more weight behind that of like forced
right.
retirement, that
Oh
just
yeah,
Yeah,
literally discarded, right?
and
it's
I think
certainly
it
a
kind of
sad.
Seeing that,
Yeah, certainly
I,
a sad
seeing that
commentary on how
first.
we
Yeah.
treat veterans in this country and in the USA.
oh
Yeah, sadly,
definitely.
but
Mhm.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
why I think it was such
yeah.
a powerful scene. But you think so? Seeing that, do we think that Senator Chuchi doesn't succeed in trying to fight for the clones' rights? which is what I think. Because if they were to
Mm.
had some sort of, plan for after them being decommissioned,
Hmm.
I don't know if we see that, it
I
might
think
work
I
out.
think Palpatine had no issue squeezing out one of his own top commanders. He's not going to give a crap about the Senate. He's the one who
Oh no,
dissolves the Senate
right?
anyway.
Yeah,
15 years after this, so he
yeah,
doesn't care about it in
Mm.
the Senate.
definitely.
He'll blow them
Yeah,
all up.
and maybe the
You
clones do
know,
fight back, and they're like, all right, we're not going to give them anything. But then
right?
we'll see.
And
Yeah.
do we know if the inhibitor chips are limited to just Order 66? Like there could be a kill switch in there. Like,
Oh,
oh, the clones started an uprising. Kill switch.
Yeah.
All of them drop
Oh, the
dead that
clones are
haven't
all getting
decommissioned
yeah,
their chips, right?
they're all
Like
getting
it could be just
bad to some mysterious disease clone.
Camino Part 2. Like it could be that like, oh, our stormtroopers took out the rebel insurgent clone troopers, and these are why the stormtroopers are really great. Look what they just did. And a stormtrooper didn't have to fire a single shot because they just flipped that switch and all the clones that haven't removed their inhibitor chips drop dead instantly.
oh, how do you
I could
explain
see
that in
that
the
being a
Senate though?
thing too.
How do you
That's
explain that in the
tough one.
Senate? That they're just gonna be like, oh
Uprising.
yeah, they just all died, and they'll be
Yeah.
like, well, why did they die? And be like, oh, because I put an inhibitor chip in their
Well,
Well,
it's
I
the
heads.
mean,
same
but they could
reason,
explain
like,
it
oh,
out by
it's all the Jedi. The Jedi just rebelled, and then we
yeah,
had our clones had to kill them. So it'll be the same way. All the clones rebelled, so
the
our
clones
brand new,
rebelled.
super awesome stormtroopers had to kill them. It's just the way it
and
goes.
and we had no casualties.
No, exactly.
Yes,
That's it.
exactly.
That's how
And
good
it
they
was
are.
all
That's how
good.
good these stormtroopers are.
And then we had a
They are
democracy
elite.
cakewalk down Coruscant Boulevard, and everybody. It was a big pizza
Yeah,
party. It was
Yeah,
right.
fantastic.
I like to see Senator Chuchi. That's a new blue Padme that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Blue
Nice to
Padme.
see, but we'll
Yeah.
see how it
Oh my
goes.
gosh.
Yeah, I was getting very, very like strong Padme vibes from her. It was
Oh,
kind of like a
definitely.
Big time.
Padme Omega mix,
I
kind of
thought I
like
was
that
like, is this
characterization.
some
Yeah,
kind of weird Omega clone? Because she's got the same voice. So yeah, it was
Yeah.
similar. Yeah, very similar. Well, let's wrap it up there, fellas. This has been
cool.
awesome. Louis, thank you so much again for coming to our rescue, for joining us once again. Please, if you want people to follow you, tell them where they can.
You can follow me on Twitter at dinsjarn327. I don't remember any of my other handles, but it's okay because I have not gotten a hang of TikTok. I've tried. Once I get printing, I'm hoping that I can. Um,
Hmm.
I'll post it in the comments of this video. What my other socials are, but again, yeah, of course, it's a pleasure. Love being here. Whenever you guys are in a pinch like this, hit me up if I'm available. I'll be there.
Cool.
All right, man. Thank
We,
you so much.
that's just the thing. We always do it at 9 o'clock every other Monday because that's the time Mark's got, and that's the time I've got with his schedule, my schedule. So yeah,
I'll make
just
sure that
keep
that's
it
the time I
moving.
got. So
Cool,
We appreciate
cool,
that
cool,
so
cool.
much, man. That's awesome. Charlie, tell people where they can find you.
You got it. Well, I'm over on Twitter largely at the C3. Go ahead and spell it out. My lovely wife April and I do run the USS Grand Petoskey. That is one of the biggest chapters in the world of the excuse me, the Star Trek International Fan Club. I also run Region 13, which is Michigan and Eastern Canada. So Mark belongs to me, he would if he'd like Star Trek. But anyway, hit us up at a website of that name and across all socials if you're a Trekker and want to connect with Trekkers in your neighborhood. I can help make it happen.
where do I start if I want to get into Star Trek?
Dude, let's talk offline. That's a
All
loaded
right.
question. But
That's a chapter now.
the short answer is Strange New Worlds, which is a show that's currently on.
All right.
It's a
Perfect.
great entry to Star Trek.
Perfect.
Awesome. We got several Star Trek mentions. No appearance from your cat, and I think we
No,
did make
I
fun of
did.
Todd.
I,
So
I, I
it's almost
did.
an official episode.
Yeah, I did. I did. I
Oh,
Oh,
did
did
you
you
grabbed
lift them
my
up? Okay, I
grandma.
missed
She was
that
up on my
completely. I
shoulder.
must
Yep.
have been on a rant about something. Okay, so it is an official episode. We can end it. You can find me at _Canardian on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and pretty much everywhere else other than Hive, which I'm just Canardian. And you can always find me hanging out in our Secret Friends Unite Discord channel, where again, let us know your dumb Star Wars ways to die. I am excited
Please.
by the answers we have so far. And yeah, thanks again for listening.
Gotcha. Cool.
All
All right,
right.
friends.
Have a good one,
Always
guys.
thanks for joining. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring and to keep on trucking.
May the force be with you. Rex,
And
play
with
us out.
you. All right, have a good one.
That was a short one.
That's it. That's fine. That's good. It's all good. This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow @SecretFriendsU on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.